Hey guys, so there was a clapping in the microphone, but still, there was an update to the roster editor by Tufts11 over at Operation Sports. You guys gotta remember that Leftos did a great thing making this roster editor open source. So if you guys want to help him out, you are able to do that. You can decode and do your own cool stuff with the roster editor, and Leftos will push it through as an official update like this. And what Tufts did was he made it, or Tufts really made it so you could do what you want with the uniforms in the roster editor. So let's go ahead and load up the new version of the roster editor. This should work for the 360 and the PC versions of the game, or of the rosters, but whatever. So what he did was added this art line right here. And what this does is it lets you choose which art file the game will load for that particular uniform. So let's go down to the Celtics home uniform. Go ahead and select Boston home. And we can change this to the Christmas uniform, to the alternate, or we can go all the way up and we can change it to the practice home. And when I do that, it will now load the practice home uniform. Now that's all fine and dandy, and it's a neat little trick, and I think that just by itself, just doing this by itself makes it so much easier, because before we could change, let's say this Cavs home, classic home number 4, we could take that, change it to Celtics home, and now this will show up for the Celtics. But now we can change the actual uniform itself, because that would still be the Cleveland uniform until we could change this column. So very, very cool stuff there. But let's go ahead and take it one step further. So no one cares about the practice uniforms. We see them ever so not at all ever often in the actual game. So let's say I did this already. I did the Celtics home, and I changed the Boston practice home as the Celtics home jersey. So this will show up as the home jersey, except for it will just be this practice uniform. Now if we go over to the NLSC and we go down to the structures and team IDs thread, and evidently wait a long time for it to load. There we go, thank you. Scroll down and we look at the file structure, and the practice uniforms we can see are 105. That's the ID for it. And we know by looking at the file structure that home uniforms and away uniforms begin with UH or UA. So let's take that uniform, or that roster, hex edit it, and we'll do a Control F. We're going to find, it's a Unicode string, but we can do either. And let's just find UH105. This is the Celtics home practice uniform. We can now take this and rename it to whatever we want. Now, if I remember correctly, this is the main 2K13 installation. If I go ahead and do asterisk 005 asterisk, this brings up all the stuff that has to do with the Celtics, which is the ID 005 or 005. You can know that by this great resource I put together last year, but Matt put up this here for me. 005 right there is the Boston Celtics for the IDs. So what was I doing? I was doing a search in the 2K13. Now if I look here, I will see that there is an additional, we have this retro home, this is retro 1 home for the Celtics. Now that is already in the game, but we also have this R1A 005, which is actually a hidden away uniform for the game. Now what I can do is that I know I'm going after this home, and you gotta remember you have to keep the file names the same size when you change them in the bank of names like I am right now. So let's say that I'm on the PC and I want to do this. All I have to do is change this file name to something that's 5 wide or 5 long. Whoops. So I could change it to, like, I don't know, UC for U Classic 005, and then if I go to here and change this to UC 005, that will then load that up in game. Now let's just show you more practical, because that's just confusing and crap. So let's say I want this uniform in the game for the Celtics, but you know, it's just that's just too confusing. So let's just do a real simple way to do it. The Cavaliers have way too many friggin' jerseys. Okay, they do. So let's take this Cavs away alternate right here. So we have classic away 5 alternate. We can go over to this and change it from 005 to 004, which is for the Cavaliers. And we find R5X004. Now, what this means is that is the retro, 5th retro. It's an alternate for the Cavaliers. So R5X004. So let's find that in the bank of names. Right here, R5X004. And I can change this to R1A005. Now, when I load up the game, it will, instead of that alternate for the 5th alternate uniform retro for the Cavaliers, it will instead load this hidden alternate for the Celtics, if that makes sense. Now, the problem is that this is going to show up for the Cavaliers and not the Celtics, so let's change that. And on top of this, we need to remember to do the CRC check. And the easy way to do this is just leave it there. We'll go ahead and save this as Celts Retro. Sure. So we can close out the hex editor, go into the roster editor, and open it again, or open up the roster you're doing. This way, when you actually save it, it will automatically recalculate that CRC check. So let's go back to the jerseys tab, right here. So we have a Cavs away, and we're editing the classic away the 5th classic away alternate. God, I'm never gonna get used to saying that. So right here, it's an away uniform. So we want to change it to a Celtics away. The name can be classic away, but we want it to say classic 1 away. And it's not an alternate uniform, so we can change that there. So now it'll show up with the proper name in game. And then here, we want to keep this the same, because even though we changed the name of it in the in the hex, you still want the roster file to look at the same place for it. We can change the necktie to baggy round. It will have black socks, sure. And then we can go ahead and update these team colors as we see fit. So let's see here. Celtics is 08853. And here for the away, we'll do D7, D7. Oop. Oh no. D7, D7, D7. You can always just copy and paste that in. And that's not right either. 008853. That's one too many O's. I just copied that from right here. Alright, so now when I save this and go in the game, this, what used to be the Cleveland Classic Away 5, will now show up under the Celtics team as an away uniform named Classic Away 1. It will have the correct neck type. We've hex edited this reference to the Classic Away 5 uniform to change it to go after the hidden Celtics retro. And it's got the black socks, the correct accessory colors, the correct neck type, and when I hit Save Jerseys, it has a it will automatically redo the CRC check. So that's how you do that. This is a great little update, and it's especially great for the 360 users. This is also useful for the PC users. For the like I said, if you have a custom user or a custom uniform name, it makes it a little bit easier than having to, because you can truly add uniforms now to a different team. And for the 360 guys, this is just great because you don't need the editor. You can just change the uniforms around as needed, both the art and the name and which team it goes under. So I hope you learned something. I hope that wasn't too confusing, because it confused me a little bit at the beginning. But you know what? Screw it. You guys are smart people. If you have questions, hit me in the comments. I will do the best I can. Hope you learned something. I'll see you in the next tutorial.